That's about it.
Yep. All right, everyone, the open meeting for the Delaware Academy School District Board meeting. Special allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. In the absence of Sue Temple, our district clerk, I need to appoint Gary Schultz to serve as the district clerk pro temp for this meeting. A motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Lucy. And a second? Second. Thank you, Tammy. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Schultz. All right, a presentation for our capital project, Case Construction of Highland Associates. Gentlemen, please take the floor.
How's it going today?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. I'm Corey from Chase Construction. As everybody's seen, there's been a bunch of progress up in elementary school and some in the high school.
Can I have you pause for 1 second? Is he on camera? Okay. Can I just ask you to step to the front because we are live streaming? Yes. We've got cameras going both ways.
Man, they're everywhere.
That way all our viewers at home, can see. And because you are standing socially distanced, well away from everybody else, you can remove your mask in order for everyone at home to hear you a little better.
Okay.
Thank you, Corey.
So up in the elementary school, there's been lots of progress. We have the kitchen floor placed. We're working on doing soffits in the cafeteria. We took the Burger King windows out, as we're calling them. And we're starting the footers, the structural steel in the next 30 days. You'll see the walk-in cooler set and the hood up in the elementary school. The loading dock is being started. Hopefully we'll have the doors in there in the next 30 days. We're looking to start some windows. The high school, we're working on bathrooms. The abatement started up again today in phase 1 as we're working for pricing for phase 2. The rough-ins have started for the mechanicals, the MEPs. The boilers, we're looking to start the boilers within the next month in the middle school and the elementary school. Control wiring as well. That's pretty much the next 30-day look at what we have going on, where we stand. There hasn't been any incidents to date, which is great for all the manpower that we've had on site. Coordination's been going well, and I think we've only ruffled a couple feathers. Are there any questions in regards to the capital project portion, not so much the crawl space or the CWC?
Questions?
Are you seeing any issues with supply chains and like steel, some steel's coming?
So structural steel is on its way this month. There is some concern with some of the stainless steel. We heard that there is a shortage. Right now we have a shipping date of the remaining kitchen equipment of 8/17. Kitchen equipment was placed a while ago. It's starting to hit the market. We're pushing the best that we can with all the shortages due to COVID. And we will keep Carrie and Kelly informed moving forward if there's anything as soon as we find out. We've asked the contractor to update us, keep us updated on all shipping dates.
I will note that I've asked for a list of the equipment that's coming in, because a lot of the stuff, some of the stuff isn't brand new, some of the stuff's just getting refurbished. So if we find that it's, if there are a few tables missing, or we can't get them in time, then we can still run the kitchen. We're working on that now, and if not, then we have a plan B.
Yep, so I will send you that.
All right.
It's in the specs in your office, so I can send that over.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Also, real quick, the CWC, we have a pre-bid walkthrough Wednesday at 3 o'clock. We'll be meeting here. And then the abatement cost base work has started. So if there's any questions on any of that stuff, we can help answer that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
Corey's done a really great job meeting with us on a regular basis, multiple times per week that are regularly scheduled. And then anytime that there's any concern or a question, this team comes together and has been very responsive. So we're completely up to date. Can you think of anything, Carrie?
Did you hit roofing? We're doing roofing also.
Yes. Right there.
12,
Supplies are sitting right
12 to 14 day.
They're total.
And they're moving, I haven't heard any negative or any, I mean, they're working along pretty well.
It's not raining.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the only
Okay.
time, that's the only good thing.
Yeah, they've been great, no noise or anything like that so far. And I think the big thing that Corey and Chase have been really great about is the fact of checking before they make the next step as far as what kind of noise issues we may have. And we've had a few things that have come up, but I mean, guys in at 8 o'clock in the morning as soon as classes start, so they've been very, very upfront about it.
We've been fortunate to have pieces within this project, whether we've been able to secure supplies ahead of schedule or labor has been available ahead of schedule. We've been requested a number of times to say, look, we've got stuff now, can we start the work? And so where we've been able to identify that without interrupting our day-to-day, functions to students and to classrooms, we've been able to secure and do that. So that's been a happy consequence of that.
Yeah, I'll elaborate on the CWC. The walkthrough is Wednesday and then the bid opening is the 8th, June 8th at 2.
All bids are due at 2, so bid opening is 2:15, 2:30.
Yeah, I'll be there for it, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to?
Good.
You good? What? I don't know. I'm not giving the presentation.
I think honestly, a lot of questions have come up lately. And so it's been a while since these guys have been at a board meeting. And so we wanted to stop and kind of take stock in where we are and provide this opportunity to have them personally present for the board to answer any questions. Our capital project committee has met several times since the last time that Highland and Chase was here. And so I think a lot of questions and things that have needed to work through have happened at that committee level. When we report out on committees later, our representatives from that committee will be able to provide any additional comments that maybe weren't covered here. But we just wanted to make sure that it was just an opportunity to answer any outstanding questions or concerns. And it sounds like we're good. So, thank you. All right, Mrs. Maples up next.
Universal pre-K presentation.
Some exciting news.
This is very exciting news because it's Mabel.
I'm very excited to share it with you. Raise this one. Okay. So I'm here tonight to share with you some great news. We have garnered some funding for a universal pre-K program in the elementary school. And so I'm going to present on that for a few minutes here. Of course, everything we do, we start with the vision and mission. And even though the vision and mission usually speak to the whole student as they're graduating and heading out into the world, that doesn't happen unless we start at the really early ages. So again, we went to vision and mission, and then we looked at the district goals. Delaware Academy will engage in data-informed practices using multiple sources of information to ensure continuous improvement in student performance and outcomes. Mrs. Kelly was on a committee with me a few years ago with another board member and Mr. Thompson, and we did a lot of that data-informed piece of work 2 or 3 years ago. And we know that it is best practice to have pre-kindergarten. We know that it would have been a good idea. We just couldn't do the second thing, which Delaware Academy will evaluate and provide necessary resources to achieve our mission in an informed and fiscally responsible manner. And when we got informed and we talked about being fiscally responsible, 100% of the pre-K program at that time was going to come from the taxpayers. And we couldn't do that. Just at that time, it would have been a 2.5% increase, and that was without making any other changes to programming, changes to staffing, changes to anything. So we couldn't do that at that time. I'm gonna skip the third one for right now, and the fourth one says Delaware Academy will develop and maintain collaborative relationships with and between our district and the communities it serves. And you're going to see tonight that this presentation meets that goal as well. We are going to be working within our community, and of course, we are serving our students in our district, so. Opportunities from attending a pre-K program. We know this from all of our research that we did a couple of years ago. Early identification of learning needs, consistency of instruction pre-K through 5th grade. I'm really excited about that. Nutritional and health services are available at an earlier age. It's early exposure to books and vocabulary and letters and phonemic awareness and numbers and counting and classifying. And our pre-K students show social, emotional, and academic skills as they enter the kindergarten program. Students who don't have that pre-K experience oftentimes don't. That doesn't mean the pre-K experience has to happen here. The pre-K experience is happening in many of our community pre-K programs as well. And Mrs. Kelly and I visited many of them. We went all over on a tour. So for the 2022 budget year, they've enacted additional pre-K expansion grants of $105 million. $90 million of that is a non-competitive grant that's awarded to districts, with the priority being the districts who have not received state funding for pre-K programs before. That's us. So we were allotted $118,900, and that would be for 18 students, 1 teacher, and 1 LTA. It is a full-day program. It cannot be half-days, and it has to be 4 years only. It cannot be for younger than that. I'm going to tell you about the other one that we are not eligible for, and that's an additional $15 million awarded to districts through a competitive RFP process. I'm telling you about that because I know you have your ear to the ground. You may hear that there's another $15 million out there perhaps we could have written for, but it's for high needs districts who already have programs in place. And what they're finding in some of those districts is that they have a program for a 3-year-old and then no programming availability for the 4-year-old when they change. So they have a pre-K program at 3 years old and they go to the 4-year-old program and there's no space for them. So they're trying to fix that gap in those districts, but that's not us. How does this differ from 2 years ago? Because 2 years ago, Mrs. Kelly and I came up here and said, we can't do this. we can't do this. It wasn't just us, but it was a team effort. But this is a non-competitive grant starting with the 2021-2022 school year, which is different than last year when we tried to write a grant and we weren't eligible for it. We were not high needs enough at that time. This is pretty much guaranteed to us. As long as we do do everything they are asking of us, we're pretty much guaranteed this $118,000. We're only considering 1 classroom of 18 full-day students. At this time, it's better to start small and move from there. I know a couple years ago we had said we can't do it unless we were able to offer 2 classrooms. That's just not fiscally responsible again. If we use this money, we can truly only open 1 at this time. That we may be able to write for more grants another time, but for right now, we can only open 1. We do have that pre-K funding source, so it will not fall 100% to the taxpayers, and this is sustainable. For the next 2 years, it's federally funded. The 3rd year, it is half federally funded and half state funded, and then it goes on our state aid runs from there. So we'll have it each year. So the requirements of this grant are that it's a full-day program, 4 years old, up to 18 students. They must be 4 years old on or before December 1st of the year in which they're enrolled. District residents only, okay? And districts will have to submit an application to the budget office of early learning by July 31st. I can't wait. I bug poor Carrie and Kelly every day. Is it on there yet? Can we start putting in the information? But it's just not even on the portal yet. So as soon as it is, we'll be writing. Education Law 3602E states that all districts receiving UPK funding must set aside 10% of the allocation to collaborate with eligible agencies located within the district boundaries to assist in running their UPK program, okay? Eligible agencies are determined from a list that's registered with the New York State Department of Education, and they're approved, state-approved preschool providers. Their set-aside funding will be allocated through a request for proposals or an RFP process, and New York State is still working on that RFP guidance for districts. Actually, Carrie Kelly and I are signed up for a June 8th webinar on this RFP process, so we'll keep you informed. Okay? We do have some eligible collaborators in our district, so based on what we learned from NYSED, we'll be in contact with them and we'll keep you updated as well. Next steps is to ask for a board resolution to start a full-day UPK program for the 2021-2022 school year. Get our application in as soon as possible. Learn about that RFP program for the agency collaborators. Establish a system, time, and date for registration. So we don't have that established yet. If I start getting calls tomorrow, and I may, I'm just gonna ask you to hang on. We will get to you and work on that, but it's not quite established yet. We must have a lottery system for students if more than 18 students register. It is not a first come, first serve situation. Everybody who wants to register will register by the date that we set. And if it's more than 18, then it will be a lottery system. We need to set that up. We need to determine a location in the elementary building for that classroom, and then outfit that classroom with necessary furniture and learning materials, and secure the staffing for that room. We're so excited about, I am thrilled about this. I'm so excited to bring this opportunity to families. And do you have any questions?
I'm not sure if you can answer this yet, but when you say qualified New York State providers, pre-K providers, who's an example of that in our district?
Head Start would be.
Head Start would be a qualified provider. But they have to agree in this RFP process, which I don't know so much about yet, they're going to have to agree to certain conditions. And so a qualified provider may say, I don't want to jump through the hoops that I need to jump through. And they're allowed to say that. They don't have to take the money. But if they do, then there will be stipulations. Yes, ma'am?
Maybe touched on it, I missed it, but are these kids, these pre-Kers also be transported by a school bus or is it self-transport?
We have not decided that yet, and we do, by law, we do not have to transport them. As a matter of service to our district, we would like to transport them. But those students who are only 3 from the start of school until they turn 4, whenever that time is, those kids would need to be in a car seat. So that may pose a problem for our transportation department. So that's going to be further discussion.
Thank you. But it will not preclude us from having a pre-K.
But it will not preclude us from having a pre-K, exactly.
Do we have the money available to outfit the room and maybe put in a bathroom and?
There's bathrooms in both areas I'm thinking of, so we're all set.
So all
For
we need
that.
then is the money for the small furniture and desks and things.
Yep.
But that is not part of the money that's being allocated.
It is.
It is.
It's
Well-
not part of the 118, it's
Okay.
not part of the grant fund. That will need to be determined, that will need to fall on us locally to provide that. But we've had discussion of various sources that we can set aside to provide that service. Specifically, some of the funding that comes through some of the COVID dollars can be applied to these types of things.
So good thing you asked that because I had the wrong answer.
And we are planning on still renting spaces to Head Start.
It
Yes.
will not affect Head Start or our relationship with Head Start.
That starts in this building.
It
It
is.
is.
Julie, what happens if we don't get 18 kids?
If we don't get 18 kids, then it's prorated. We don't get all of that money. That amount of money is for 18 students. So if you only had 12 kids, say, then you would only get the per student amount for those 12 kids.
What happens next year when we have 17 kids?
That you start with this pot again, you start with the same pot, it always starts with the same pot, and you go from there.
So 18 is just a cap.
18 is our cap, and that allows us to get that amount of grants.
Well, that's probably like, what's the ratio, you know, how many teachers for how many kids for how many aides, right? That's probably why the number's at 18.
It is, that's exactly why, and that's one teacher and one LTA.
Once, you can enroll more than 18, but once you exceed 18, you have to add another aide.
And then we don't have, they're not giving us funding.
Yeah,
That would have to
correct.
$200.
Correct.
That's why we.
So if you have 18 kids, say you only get 12, does it cover the cost of the teacher?
It will,
Yes.
yes.
So there's always.
Wait, hold on.
No, it's not guaranteed.
Well-
So within the grant, you can't write in, the allocation is based on enrollment of district resident students. So you take that 118, roughly divide it by, 18, and that's your per pupil expenditure. Within that, then you look at a full-time salary and benefits for teacher and aide. And that's what's that? And that's about 120.
That's about 120,000.
So at that point, if we wish to continue to move forward with the program, then we would look at local funds to supplant that, or supplement that rather.
So maybe I missed this too, maybe you're not there yet, 'cause this is so brand new, but is there a deadline? What's the deadline to apply, so you know how many kids, or there's no deadline? Let's say only 12 apply, are we gonna,
So the application for us to apply to the state is not contingent upon what we enroll. We apply for it, they say, great, the 118 is yours, but then based on enrollment, that's how much they will then allocate to us.
So really, I don't think this will happen, but if we only have 5 kids, we still get to have the pre-K for 5 kids.
Right, that's gonna be up to this board.
Right, that
Well, that's
would be,
okay, but
Because if there's only 5, which, now I doubt there will only be 5.
I'm
But
throwing
if
out
there
every
was,
option.
if there was, then you're looking at, quickly that being reduced to like $30,000.
Okay,
Right.
then I see, yep.
And then this board would need to decide how much of that, what's left of the other $90,000, you're willing to put on the backs of taxpayers potentially to
Okay.
run that program.
Got it, so we need people to
You wanna
enroll,
see
we really
absolutely.
want this to work.
yes.
I will say that a lot of districts that have, or most districts that have a pre-K fund, they are not funded entirely by the grant. They are subsidized by the general fund. And that's been a kind of an argument from a lot of districts. As salaries increase and benefits increase, the grant dollars do not. I know districts that have been pre-K for 10 years, they still get the same exact as 10 years ago, so.
That's true.
You know, they have a steady stream of students coming in, it usually doesn't fluctuate too much.
When we were investigating the pre-K program several years ago, we didn't worry about getting 18. We were worried about training away 36. And because we did do a little bit of a survey of parents and so we were thinking, how can we have pre-K, two classes, half day each, which we can't for this grant, but just because we thought of the number of people who want to come in. And
I have to say, I think this full day's the best benefit for these kids. By the time you feed them breakfast, you feed them lunch, and then they go home, they're better, get more out of it.
right, oh yeah, we have to.
No, I understand that, but even if we didn't, I think it's more beneficial for them.
Just like the decision to go a full day, and this is being pushed by the state, this is not something we decided either, or we talked about, it was, you want the money, here are the rules.
Yes.
So we can't veer from that anyways.
Anybody else?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Great job.
Yay, we did it. All right, the next presentation is Oh, master schedule. Master schedule presentation, Mrs. Robbins, Mrs. Shearer.
Master schedule presentation and so much more.
And so much more. And then.
You still want it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. You just look so confident in your approach.
And so
You said a little further away, so I can
we're not together at all during the day.
All right, so I would actually ask to kick off this presentation because you've heard me say all year long where we are headed, particularly in the middle and high school as it pertains to long-term planning that is being implemented not only through our counseling department, but how it has a direct effect on the development of our master schedule. And so as Mrs. Mabel started out, always grounding, again, staying clear, this is our vision, this is our compass, right? This is where we are headed as a district. And in this piece of the presentation, you will hear us focusing on particularly how we are preparing students to enter society, to embrace change with confidence, altruism, adaptability, and how we are positioning ourselves year after year to broaden our range of academic opportunities for our students and what type of learners we're looking to develop. Again, aligned with our district goals, focusing right here, how we're going to use data to inform our trajectory and our path for continuous improvement for student outcomes, and I don't just mean performance outcomes, I mean our outcomes post-graduation. And so when we developed our district level goals, we then turned to all of our departments in our building and asked them to align their goals for the year based on that. Specific to the student services department, there was a commitment to engage students and parents in understanding pathway options for graduation. That has not changed. Specifically at the middle and high school, there was a commitment to increase opportunities for aligned coursework to open up those pathways to graduation again. So as I hand this over shortly, you will hear from both Mrs. Shearer and Mrs. Robbins tonight. What is our district's long-range plan for preparing future-ready students? How are we going to align student-identified interests? Also, how are we going to address social, emotional, and academic needs, K through 12, not only in the wake of this pandemic, but as we move forward over the next several years? And then, how do we engage parents and guardians and offer them a position in that driver's seat to partner with not only our school counselors and our teachers, but their students to help determine this trajectory for each of their students. And in doing so, how does that inform how we select coursework and schedules that support where our students want to be? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Shearer to talk about the role of the Student Services Department in this piece. Thank you.
Again, way more than just scheduling here tonight, which is, I know it's a big piece of it, but we're really excited to talk to you about some of the things that we've been working on and that we'll continue to work on over the course of these next 2 or 3 years. As far as our comprehensive guidance planning, and I spoke with you last time about special education, and I continue to speak with you about all of the work that we're doing with scope and sequencing. It's what we teach, when we teach it, how we teach it, and where we teach it. So our college and career readiness and information, our social emotional learning, and our academic supports, along with this concept of truly asking ourselves, what is the profile of a graduate here at Delaware Academy? I thought about a roadmap to graduation and beyond, and that parent or guardian and community engagement. So let's start with some of the programs that we have already. My Learning, this shouldn't be new to you. It's I know that the school counselors have talked with the board about My Learning. It's a program that allows us, it's a platform to gather really good information for students and parents. So not only things like courses that I want to take or a platform for communication where we send out reminders that the SAT is next Saturday, but really a hub where we can store information around students' interest inventories, their career assessments, their goals and dreams. It's a really cool place that you can look and see a student's progress all along. So not only the courses that they're taking, but they're really beginning to understand who I am as a student, as a person, how I match those interests with occupations, with the pathway to college or career, wherever it is, it's a place for us to start to gather that information for a student to use. Our brilliant pathways, we're gonna have bigger conversations about that, but this is a really cool way for not only our school counselors to have professional development, but they also offer some really cool things. Our counselors at the high school sat in on a college and career information session that was provided by the Kansas City Chiefs. And they had 6 of their, it wasn't just about how do you get recruited to be a football player. This was the buildings and grounds people, talking about the kinds of people that they hire as carpenters, as electricians, to help support their program. The media people that work not only on social media, but on just participation, people, all the things you see in the stadium. It was an engaging and amazing opportunity that our students will be able to do with this program. And just last week, another school, Beekman High School, hosted an astronaut where he came in and students were able to ask questions, but it will be a platform for us to use, and I'm excited to introduce it to you at a future meeting. Social emotional learning, you guys should be very familiar with Sources of Strength, right? That's a program that happens K-12, it's in your buildings, you can see it's in all of our buildings. We can see posters around it. It really is that support, that hope, help, and strength process for students so that they never feel alone. Second step is a program that we've committed K-12. We've done our implementation planning. We've worked really hard with our teachers to begin that training process, that conversation around how we support our students socially and emotionally in a 20-week program that teachers will be implementing in the fall. Super exciting stuff. So when Julie and I connected with this was really about common language. It was climate and culture in the building, and it was really cool. So this is where our goal is to implement this K-5 with fidelity, and I'm really excited to be on board with this one. It's super cool. And just today, we started the process of introducing it to our middle school, because the program that we purchased is a new digital platform. It's offered for grades K through 8, but we gotta figure it out in this building. We gotta figure out how it might work and how it's gonna support our students, but we've just started that process. Really excited about both of these programs. The third concept around academic support systems is truly an MTS approach. We talked about this, multi-tiered systems of support. So it's not just academic support, but it's also the help with engagement and attendance, right? It's the way that we approach struggling students from a tier 1 perspective, all the way through more support with a tier 3, tier 2, and tier 3. So let's ask that question. What is the profile of a student that's here that's going to graduate from Delaware Academy? How do we prepare our students to excel in a diverse and dynamic society? That's our vision. Right? We're going to do that through creating critical thinkers and problem solvers, having them be empathetic, creative and innovative, communicators and collaborators so that we truly can have all of our students be future ready. This is a really cool thing. Nice graphic too. Okay, so our roadmap, this is going to be something that we want to hand to parents and to students. We want them to understand that the first part of stepping into our middle school is understanding what our end game is, right? What diploma are you looking at? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to do moving forward? And then we want to help you to prepare and have those experiences, not only to say that you did it, but also apply it, right? I learned this and now I'm able to apply it to figure out who I am. And that roadmap will have those interest inventories and career assessments. It'll have job shadowing experiences as we move forward. The practice to what you really want to be or do or think you want to really be or really do. And then campus visits. And we're not just talking about college campuses, we're talking about our BOCES programs, having people come on our campus to to talk about different opportunities. And then down the road, wouldn't it be awesome if every kid had an internship? It'd be pretty. So, the next step to this is our parent and guardian engagement. How are we gonna make sure that every single parent that we work with knows what their student is working towards, has an input into the experiences that they're gonna have? So we're starting with some really cool newsletters, parent involvement in student scheduling, so that they're right there at the table for doing their career planning, looking at that My Learning plan. And in the fall, every parent will have a login so that they can see the assessments that their students are completing. And then a concept around parent universities. A lot of our parents are very familiar with things like financial aid night and what are some of the other nights that you guys have got, like a junior night or a college ready night?
And just parent nights that were based on surveys, interest surveys, things, everything from help with social media, bullying, internet, safety, just in general.
We want to create a calendar so parents know that on this date, we're going to do a parent university, which is just engagement and learning together. So all super, super exciting things. That, my segue is, once we gather all of that information, that's what helps drive our schedule.
Thank you, Kristen. So, the next piece is the master schedule, and we've been working on this, throughout the year. But I just want to kind of bring us back to, we're always going to be looking at, this all pertains to our first goal, our district goal, that we're going to be using data-informed practices to really make all of our decisions, and that even, is the master schedule. And we need that data to make sure that we're putting all those things into place as far as the pathways, as far as the goals, and as far as the interests. And I think, one of the things that happened this year for the 2020-21 year, a lot of those measurements really revolved around COVID, unfortunately. And that's what we had to do. COVID, hybrid and remote models, a lot of our PD, a lot of the things that we were gathering were based on the fact that those were the types of platforms that our students could learn from during, the COVID pandemic. And then, of course, we always were guided by our reopening plan. That was, a solid plan that we had to follow in order to make our decisions. Some of the outcomes from this year that were based on those factors, those informed factors, were that we had to add more lunch periods. In order to make it safe here for our students, we had to have a lot of lunch periods, and basically 4 of them, in 2 different cafeterias. We had mostly remote PE, increased our remote PE, that's basically all we had for the 6 through 12 graders, in order to make it all work district-wide. Most of the PE teachers' live PE was in the elementary. And then we also had to prioritize the coursework required for graduation. So obviously, first thing is, what do our students who are graduating this year need? And that was our first priority. And that's also how we came about the early release for our seniors. In hindsight, I see some, real concerns about that, and the fact that our students weren't as engaged, but it was the only way that we were really going to be able to not only allow them to be here every day, which we think was an awesome thing for the seniors, but also with the shared staffing, have enough staff to be able to meet all of our other needs. So really, they just couldn't necessarily be kept as engaged during the day and have maybe those extra electives and things that, they would need, or they would have probably signed up for otherwise if they could have been here all day. Students who really, truly wanted to be here all day, we made it happen. But so then there's next year. And we're coming up with, what Kristen was just telling you, the second step. And we're talking about a brand new RTI process in this building. A lot of things happening, but we're also coming off of a COVID pandemic. So our data-informed decisions and our factors have to take that into account. We're looking at the learning gaps. We're really trying to figure out what have students learned and what haven't they learned, and make sure that that is playing into our master schedule. Remedial needs at Tier 1, we know we're going to have more. It's just, it's obvious that this year hasn't been as successful for all of my students in 6 through 12. The hybrid model does not work for every student, and it's a definite need for our moving forward and making sure that they have everything that they need in order to be successful. Seniors completing CTEP, we do have 4 seniors who will be, seniors next year will be finishing their CTEP program, and we are committed to make sure that that continues for those 4, students that started this year. The student interest surveys, I think that's what I am probably most excited about right now, and Kristen alluded to that in my learning plan. The counselors have been working with all the students all year long, trying to make sure that they all have their accounts now, they all know how those work, and there are different things in there that they can do, such as the interest inventory. And using that data, we made decisions. And of course, the data review of all their performance, which 5 notices just went out. I still see some concerns there. So those are things that we're going to take into account when we're still finishing up our master schedule. Some of the outcomes of that have been that we have decided we're going to, in every content area, we're going to have an additional what we'll call a lab period. And we're dedicating, in most cases, we're trying to make sure that the teacher that's teaching the content area will also be the teacher that will be in charge of that, lab, or that strategic learning lab, strategic study hall. And it will be more strategic. It's not just going to be a place to use their homework. It's going to be to use some of those intervention services and those other Tier 1 strategies. We've made a commitment that we're going to continue with the honors program at the 10th grade level in our social studies and ELA courses. We're going to have the honors program. We're maintaining our dual enrolled in AP courses, so all of our college courses and our AP courses will still be offered. We're prioritizing our coursework required for graduation. Obviously, that is always part, you start with that in your master's schedule, making sure that you've done an audit of all of the seniors' needs, making sure that that's all going to, take place in that master's schedule to start with. And then we've also reflected on the student interest categories. And the thing about that year, it's going to be a transition year with all of these other programs that we're really excited about. They're not going to be fully implemented in this next year because our main priority has to be making sure that our students somewhat, I guess I would use the word recover from this pandemic as well as they can in all ways, socially, emotionally, and academically. So the 2022-23 year will be where we really get into more of the PD, fewer remedial needs at Tier 1. Hopefully that's what we'll see. We'll have the increase on the focus of our pathways. We keep talking about pathways, you're going to hear a lot more about that. That students are really looking at their interests early on and then starting to work towards those interests and their goals for careers and for college later on in life, along with their parents helping them. Targeted decision making, and then also the Bronco Edge, the CTEP, program evolving into something that we'll probably talk about a little bit later. And that all comes to our outcomes of the coursework and electives want students identified in their pathways, their interests and their needs, and opportunities for those work-based learning and internships in our community. We all know that the internship piece is a huge part of all of our, admin team's desire to really see students put what they learn here at DA in our amazing programs into application before they actually leave this building and start to have a little flavor of those types of careers. So, meeting our district goals through our master scheduling. Basically, the areas that I already talked about, students were given that interest survey very early, late winter, but really it's been going on all year on and off. And so we know what those main areas of interest were. And truly, it was pretty interesting how it played out. The top 5 areas, healthcare, architecture and engineering, science, technology, arts, and farming and forestry. That's what our DA population of students, really pulled out of those different surveys, interests that they had. So then, the next piece was to make sure that our staff knew that and tried to, really kind of help them see the need for those types of electives to be offered if we're really going to truly say that we're using this data to inform our decisions. And so we had many department meetings. We've been talking about this on and off, for months. And then, you have to find the teachers who are willing to look at some of those areas and really put them into play and have a, spoken sequence, a syllabus, all those things. And that takes a little bit of time, but that's what we've been doing, so. And then we also obviously analyzing their student grades and our performance and progress constantly. And that's going to be a constant ongoing thing. We're going to have to continue to do that, and not just, in the fourth quarter, or not just at the Regents level. It has to be an ongoing thing that we're looking at all different types of assessment.
Robin, I just want to clarify real quick, if you could go back one slide. Those interest areas does not mean that we're able to offer electives next year in all of those areas. I don't want you to misinterpret that. It's an example of how we are considering student input in this transition year to make some final decisions on different electives. As we move away from COVID and down the road, that's certainly our vision, to be able to make informed decisions regarding electives that align with student interests, but also pathways in New York State.
Yes. So meeting those district goals through the master schedule, we had already some professional development. We had DCMO with their IST team come and do a PD for the staff. Actually, it was K-12 on gap analysis and essential questions, trying to help teachers see that it may not be the year that you finish your whole entire curriculum, but does your student know what they need to know in order to move on? And if not, are we going to have the next teacher work on that, or are we going to try to figure out other ways to provide that intervention? So that's going to really, and we're going to continue with that type of work with our teaching staff. The strategic learning labs came out of this whole work with the content area teacher. We do feel that that's a priority for next year. We're hoping that that's, we'll see again by looking at the data as to how that works. But that's kind of become our main bread and butter, so to speak, of how we're going to attempt to make up for that. Ongoing assessment of skills and knowledge and content areas, that has to be ongoing, as I was saying. It's going to be different types of assessing, asking questions and formative, summative. You cannot just look, or wait until the Regents and how well did they do on the Regents. This has to be an ongoing thing. Algebra 1 offered over 2 years with lab support for some students, and this again was all based on the data that came forward. But we are going to continue to keep our extended algebra program, and then some students will also get additional lab support along with those 2 years of algebra. Meeting the district goals through master scheduling. We're going to maintain what enrolled college courses we have through our programs in Oswego, Bloom, and TC3, and they can still, students can still earn college credit while obtaining that graduation credit. Continue to offer all of our AP classes that we have been, and that includes this year, for this upcoming year, AP Calc, AP Literature, AP Language, AP US History, and AP Chemistry. And then every other year, we can offer AP Bio. This next school year, the students, based on the data, we have more students needing or wanting AP chemistry. So we'll be offering that again. Based on multiple sources of data and teacher input, we will have the 10th grade honors classes in social studies and ELA. And then we also have opportunities for distance learning, which I'm excited about this, and credit recovery programs through the DCMO, DL, COSER. So we have lots of other opportunities now for students on both, both the credit recovery pieces, but also DL courses that the great thing about the COSER and BOCES is that they will look and find the course that you needed. That could be something that could be a DL AP course that we don't have the teaching staff for, but our students could also, still take through the DL program. So next steps in regards to the master schedule.
Robin, Lucy has a question.
I just, in distant learning, are you figuring out what room you'd be using for that?
We still have to do that, that's, still a process. I mean, we know we have a couple of programs we could use for sure, but because we've had distance learning before and so.
We also haven't determined the full selection of what those courses could be. But it is an option that opens the opportunity to still provide for those singletons who may need individual courses that we otherwise would not run. So it opens a door for us.
So next steps, students who need credit recovery, they will attend the Herald Campus in-person program that runs from July 7th through August 12th. We have quite a few students in need of that, and we're signing them up now. For classes not offered at BOCES, students could be enrolled. We have the opportunity to use a program called APEX, and that is through our BOCES program, and it's an online credit recovery program. I'm trying to encourage as much as possible students to attend the face-to-face, because if the online didn't work for them, it makes sense that it's gonna still be tough for them in the summer. But there are students that, can do the online piece, and the APEX program is very self-guided but self-explanatory, so it may fit some of our students' needs.
What grades are those programs for?
9 to 12. And if it's credit recovery, they have to have already taken the course.
As
So,
just
yes,
for
time.
seniors or notes for anybody who's.
Teachers will be informed of their 2021-22 schedule before they leave for their summer break. And students will receive their schedule in mid-August, and that's normally what we do here, but definitely by mid-August, it'll be now 7th, 8th, 10th, and 12th, and then usually transition years will be providing 6th and 9th grade orientations, and those are face-to-face orientations that we still don't have, set dates, but we're working on that, where they'll come in person here, and we'll have, usually give them their schedules and our whole packet of information that night, along with the teachers that teach them. We'll also have access to Power School once that is opened up, and that usually is around that same time. You can access your child's schedule where they can. Remember, Power School is a student password and a parent password, so. So, in summary, is this you or is this me?
Right there.
Your team.
All right. So, yes, it's us. So, in summary, K-12, social emotional learning and career readiness. That's our mantra. We're gonna keep saying it. We're gonna focus on parent, guardian, and student engagement. And it's something that, parent involvement is huge. It makes or breaks a child's, education. And we're gonna find ways to keep parents, the thing with COVID is we haven't really had parents in the building. So we're gonna start, bringing our parents back and hopefully finding even better ways to really keep parents engaged. And then schedules informed by student interest and chosen pathways. We're excited about all the work the school counselors are doing to really get those students early on to start thinking about what's your future, and it's based on their interests and and some of these chosen pathways that we're going to be working on and continuing to put together for them as opportunity.
So, we want to know what's something new that you learned today from this presentation and what questions that you still have. Kim, what did you learn today?
Like putting her on the spot.
Understanding.
Wow. I learned that there's gonna be a strong focus and a strong emphasis on communication, as far as, the programs that communication from school to home with the parents and the students, as far as what their pathway is, to graduate. Making sure that that all the boxes are checked and that half the child and parent know they're on, and they're all working together to make sure it's successful. But I do have a question.
Yes, that's what we said.
This is actually, I'm a parent of a sixth grader in Delaware right now. And so I talk about a sixth grade orientation. Is there, maybe he's fine, so maybe when I go and I'll ask him tonight, maybe he's fine. But sixth grade is kind of, in a little pod where they're self-sufficient and everything's right there. Before they leave sixth grade, before the year's over, do the sixth grade teachers or the middle school do any type of, here's the seventh grade, here's what it's gonna be like, here's where you're gonna go, or I don't know.
Well, the funny part about that, had a seventh grade teacher. The sixth grade pod is almost identical.
Okay, all right, perfect, that's great.
And so that's the only reason, because I asked that same question when I first started, okay, why do we only do sixth grade? Because it is almost exactly the same, at least the setup of a pod and I guess the pod mentality.
Okay, I was following that.
They stay in their pod,
So,
so,
little school model.
yes, okay. And the seventh grade teachers are meeting those sixth graders like you can now, in informal ways, because they're also side by side those pods. So, but that's the only reason why it's not as transition.
Transition that 8th to 9th.
Anything else?
What's that? Any questions?
Yeah.
You have to explain a new understanding first though, Seth.
What's that?
Explain a new understanding first, then
New
just
understanding first? Oh.
ask the question, yeah, please.
This is kind of like a get together.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know all of the programs that you reviewed with us in the beginning and feed into. And that create all the, opportunities for people to learn about themselves and what they're interested in, and parents to see that, that's really neat. I always love when we can link that stuff back to our website, so it's easy for people to find, even if it redirects you to another program. So I think that's cool.
My learning plan, this is the first year that we've been using it. So, there are probably other parents out there that don't know anything about it yet, so that's one.
Yeah, I thought that was referring to another student.
The students definitely are becoming so, now it's the parents.
So anyway, yeah, the question I had is, what do you see, if you were to summarize the major, sort of points that are scheduled or master schedules constricted, but what are the major issues that you see with it?
So what, the regular things that drive our schedule are like those schedules for sure. Anything that our seniors need to graduate is also something that drives our schedule a little bit.
Shared staffing will be huge. Because they have to be, both buildings and local middle school and high school.
Some of this intervention stuff, we're really trying to make sure that our science classes and our labs are backed up against each other, so that there can be that opportunity for a double period of learning. The intervention piece, that they're not truly knowing all the numbers till the end, which will drive us as well.
Special education,
Resource room enrollments,
PCs.
those that have to be co-taught, all of those components.
Just never having enough time.
And what students want, right, classes that we typically run for a long time, we not have the enrollments, we gotta figure out, those singletons always always get us
Yeah.
one class, so there's lots of fun things, probably by the end there'll be 20 or 30 things that we can list for you, through the master schedule. That's pretty much.
And you're always handcuffed to a certain extent by what was missed in a year prior, or even 2 and 3 years ago. Like we found this year, there was some seniors who had never had help when they should have had that schedule. So that forced another cog into that master schedule. Hopefully we're moving away from that year by year. But it's understanding the priorities of the master schedule and knowing what naturally clogs it up quick, right? Because there's an art to what you load into a master schedule and in what order. And sometimes that conflicts with what you want your building priorities to be, and it's finding that sweet spot. Because everybody has a wish list. In fact, if you walk into the counseling center, you'll see the big matrix, and then on the side is every time a teacher pops in and says, could I have my class during ninth period next year because, or could I have this because? And they all have valid reasons, but it is trying to meet as many of those needs while staying super focused and on staying the course, right, with what we know our long-term goal is. So those are some specifics and then just some generalizations to what clog up.
We're also like really trying to get common planning time with our special teachers and our general education teachers. Because when you're in there as a direct consult teacher, there needs to be planning time for that to really work well. And so that we're utilizing all of the strengths of not only the special teacher, but the general education teacher, but how they help their entire class. And that's a tough one. That's gonna be hard for us.
And I was just thinking educational policies, I mean, we know that students sometimes do better in the mornings versus the afternoons, so putting the, heavier content area. And then boys got band and, chorus at the end of the day, they sometimes like them singing stronger in the mornings, so, I mean, that's just all those things.
There's conflicting interests for sure.
Yeah.
So we're doing our very best and took a list and what are the priorities and we started to build it and at some point we started with seniors though. We got that whole trigger and just see all the conflicts that happen and then start working backwards, but we'll pull the trigger pretty soon.
Another thing we've talked about over the years that I know we've never really been successful with it, but maybe it's a time to rethink about it because we've proven in some cases distance learning does work, in some cases it's not optimal, but it doesn't. The course, in person, technology is given our distance from, let's say, even the distance, and that's the surrounding districts also, a lot of them are a long ways away too. Even if it's from Green Gorge for Muncie, we have tried to reach out at times about schools that may want something that we have that we're offering that they can partner with us, and in some cases maybe vice versa. So if you had that, I always something comes to my mind. It's usually small class size there, but is there someone in Andes that wants AP chemistry? And then how easy is that to make that available? Could it even be, they come on Wednesday, Friday, and off days it's through, Zoom. Those things seem to be more so acceptable now, just because in some cases it's different. Again, it's not always optimal, as suggested, but because of, our geography does limit a little bit of what we can do, you just can't, hop around that easily. So I don't know, I think it's a chance, sometimes we can help, because I think we offer probably more in many cases than most of the schools around.
And I have had a neighboring superintendent reach out to me with that specific question. And my first question is, are you willing to align schedules?
Yeah.
Right? Because, that's really the first big piece of it. But those conversations are had, and where we can share, we absolutely will explore those opportunities.
Great.
Anything else?
Anything to say?
Great job, thank you.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
This is time for public comments. The public may address the board. To the Board of Education believes that open communication with our parents, students, teachers, personnel, and district residents is very important. This is the reason the board sets aside time at the beginning and the end of each regular meeting for public comments. However, in order to focus on tonight's previously scheduled agenda, as a general rule, the board will not be able to respond to your comments and questions at this time. We may review your comments and questions to the administration for follow-up, or we may add the subject of your comments to the agenda for a future meeting. Either way, please be assured that we welcome and take your comments seriously. The board asks each person to limit their comments to no more than 2 minutes in order for the district clerk, Mr. Pierre Schultz, to maintain accurate records of meetings. Each individual is requested to state his or her name or address any public comments. Right, routine matters. I'd like to do A and B at the same time, the minutes from the regular board meeting on the 27th and the minutes of the annual budget meeting. It was held on the 10th, a motion to.
So moved.
Thank you, Seth, and a second. Second. Thank you, Lucy. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Personnel recommendations. Motion, please. Can you do any second? That was Kim. Sorry, that was Kim and then Kim. Any questions or comments?
I have a few comments.
I do too. So you go first.
You go, no, this is your meeting.
I have worked with Sea Temple, I have been on the board of Sea Temple, I've been president of Sea Temple, and she will be sorely missed, but we thank her to the moon and back for all of the hard work she's done for our district, so I'm sorry she's not here. I've been strategically
It was
planning.
nothing
But I will miss her terribly, and I wish her all the happiness in the world for her retirement, so.
So, yes, Sue has tendered her resignation for purposes of retirement. She will be with us through the end of August. We have posted the position. I'm hopeful that the board will support someone starting prior to that date to provide some time for cross-training and overlapping. I don't need to know how critical this position is to the district. But not only that, but to echo Beth's sentiment, I could not have stepped into a superintendency, into a new district, into a new year, especially the type of year we've had, without having Sue by my side. She has not been my secretary, she has been my partner. And I attribute a lot of my success, or at least perception of my success.
Yeah, we didn't do your evaluation yet.
That did be a reflection.
It's all Sue's
No
fault.
But truly, she has been a godsend. And I have no doubt that she will embrace whoever the next person is to ensure that they are successful and set up for success. That's how important the success of this district is to Sue. There are not enough words. So, she had personal obligations tonight, so this was not intentional. But when you do see her, please offer your heartfelt congratulations.
We'll get her next one.
Oh, yeah, we will do that. And the other resignation was Darren Evans, who has also been a huge asset to our transportation department. Not only as an auto mechanic and bus driver, but truly is Brad's kind of right hand man over there. He had an opportunity to put reviews. And found it appropriate to tender his resignation for no other reason than to pursue another opportunity that he felt was important. So again, congratulations to Darren, and we wish him the best of luck as well.
Just glad we haven't completely, he's still a substitute, that's right.
That's right, we're moving to that part, yes. Yes.
I also want to congratulate our tenure appointments, Mrs. Albright, Mrs. Bodo, and
Yes.
Mrs. Lindner, congratulations on that.
And Mrs. Lindner is here, if you would stand. Tenure appointments are not something that you take lightly. You've heard Mrs. Robbins bring all three of these candidates before the board for an update on their performance and how they've been doing, what their strengths are, what their contributions to the district have been. when you make the decision to appoint tenure, you are making probably one of the biggest investments that you can as a board member to a school district. So these are not appointments to take lightly, these are worth all of the congratulations, you've earned it, and we are thrilled and look forward to your very long tenure with the district and continue to watch you grow and support your success. So thank you and congratulations to all three.
All right, anyone want to make any comment? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. I'm going to do financial reports and CSV recommendations together. A motion, please. Thank you, Seth.
I'll second.
And Kim. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. We're moving on to reports, principals reports, and so forth. This is very, very important. What, you finished talking to us?
I might be.
You just gave us such good news.
So we finished the ELA and math assessments and got those all settled. I apologize. And I'm doing my last formal observation this week. I'm thrilled. Thank you. All of our students started back at the beginning of May. That went very smoothly, without incident. We let, the biggest thing is we have to let just 3 buses go, let the kids out at a time so that we're not crowded at the doors, but other than that, it was great. We celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week and Nurses Appreciation Week and
Appreciate that.
and the cafeteria, yeah.
Principals.
And principals. And so that was all in May, and I think that's it.
This is Robin.
Okay, I'm gonna just be brief. Because we've just had so much going on down here. We also, started back at the same time, pretty much fully. And we also have done the ELA and math assessments. But we've got rock painting going on, and we've got all of our senior lawn signs up front. Doesn't that look great out there? We just had the Scout banquet, Skip and Josh Baxter. And that was a really sweet night, the way they did that. We celebrated it in here, but it was live streaming with both sides, ONC and DCO, and I think 35 school districts, so that was a great night. We also had Decision Day, which was April 30th, and that was our first ever Decision Day, and the way that we did it that way, which was, I was not here, I was in North Carolina with a group of my granddaughter, but it looked like an awesome time with all the pictures that I saw. We had the signing night and the red carpet musical showing, and that also looked like an awesome night. We just had the senior banquet on Saturday night at Maple Shade Farm, and that was really fun to watch the kids. It was so elegant, and they actually had the real chinaware and forks, lots of forks and all that, so it was fun. The senior showcase at BOCES is tomorrow night. Now that is guest only. Usually I go to that, but I'm going to allow the parents to attend that. But that's an awesome time for the seniors to show off. Our track day, we're going to have a track day, is June 11th. The things that aren't as much fun, Regents Week, it's June 17th is our first Regents, and then we have one 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Our last day of CTE, BOCES program is June 15th. Our last day of instruction here will be June 18th. We also have a junior senior prom happening June 19th, an FFA banquet happening June 21st, and an athletic banquet happening June 23rd. It's also our cap and gown pickup and parade, and we're going to have a rehearsal walk and a picnic for the seniors on June 24th. And then, of course, graduation on June 26th. So, yeah, we're really busy here. It just never stops, and we're also, hoping to still be learning a little bit. We got lots of learning to go. We've still got basically 5 weeks with our 6th graders, and because they go through to the 24th, our 7th to 12th graders, their last instructional day will be 18th of June.
We'll be making great use out of that tent.
Yes, yes, the tent is gonna serve for a lot of different banquets and a lot of, different things that awesome that we can have those.
That was a question I had, like, where is the prom, where is the FFA banquet, those things?
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
all
all gonna be out, it's all tent.
It's all in the tent.
Not the football field.
Yeah, that's why, and the prom.
Yes,
All right.
that's why we strategically set those dates to account for Dave's crew helping with setup and take down and,
Out under the tent.
that's right.
Probably, I imagine it's gonna be a beautiful prom,
It is.
middle of the night with the lights.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, any questions?
No, you've done enough.
Mr. Ferrara.
Good evening. So we're finishing up athletics for the year, our spring sport, we have about 2 weeks left. 2 weeks of games and then some culminating events. We will officially have done 3 sports seasons in 4 months. It's tough enough when you do it in 10 months. This is pushing it ahead. We will be hosting the class track meet June 9th. Out here with 8 other schools attending. We're going to, that'll finish up our home sporting events for the year. We're gonna do that without spectators because of the quantity of athletes that are gonna be on campus at that day. We're gonna have COVID protocols in place for each district and have them stationed in pods to try to keep them separated. And those will properly be emailed out to the opposing school districts to maintain safety as we creep towards Region 7. We had a very nice athlete signing day. Special thank you to Mrs. Haight and her sports marketing and management class, and Hope Knapp, who does tons of stuff with the varsity club to help support and celebrate our athletes. The night was beautiful. I couldn't be in attendance. Mr. Baxter came and spoke on behalf of the athletes and did a great job as well. Our athletic banquet will be June 22nd. That's okay. And it will be under the tent. And we are currently getting a good number of people signing up to come, so it should be a nice affair. And I wanted to update you on our Pixel-Out campus. COVID hit, we needed to find a way to get our sporting events out to moms and dads and community who wanted to watch them. I generated a report last week. We did 16 basketball games this year. They got 26,912 views.
Holy.
So it's awesome. And remember, at that point in time, we were allowing 0 spectators, so if you wanted to view, you had to be at home to do it.
That's amazing.
When we transitioned to our outdoor sports, primarily football and soccer, that was on Pixel-Out and Dave Kelly Field, we got 4,485 views, which is a significant drop, but I think that's right around the time we started telling the spectators to come back. So more people are here, less are viewing. Our total views for the year, 31,397 in 4 months. So I think our community said loud and clear they appreciated us doing this for them. And that wraps up my report. Any questions?
I have a question about Pixel-Out, are we doing that again next year?
I was just gonna ask, yeah, we're in a multi-year contract,
Okay.
so we will continue to live stream
Especially-
regardless of spectators or not.
We know some of those hits are grandmas and grandpas in Florida. and some of those-
Absolutely.
So
Or just
we're
bad
gonna keep
weather,
providing
they don't wanna drive.
We made that investment with a long-term commitment.
Thank you.
Or you're still at work and put the game on.
Thank you, Mr.
very much.
Okay. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Sisio.
Renee ain't got a whole lot for you besides that. We transitioning over, keep helping Jeff make sure everything is aligned for sports. Got a meet with Carrie. We're trying to align what we're gonna do for projects for the summer, get them lined up. And we just advertised for the juniors, seniors who wanna work there as posters in the hallway if they wanna. And CDO, I think is what the other one was, I think it was. Other than that, really, everything's been pretty quiet. Thank God.
Dave is being humble, he runs around like a chicken with his head cut off with this capital project. Finding solutions, finding ways to hold it all together. Thanks for the sound effects. So truthfully, his report too is a little bit of an understatement.
As well as it is for his staff is wonderful as well.
Absolutely.
And the building looks so beautiful,
It does.
even though we've got craziness going on.
Yes.
It's really, really amazing.
So yeah, we're just gonna sing your praises and then.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Mr. Schultz, you may now be the business administrator.
Right, exactly.
Just for only like 5 minutes though,
Well, I did finish the budget, so I'm basically done for the year.
okay?
These every guy at work used to say that you're done for the year, but yeah, I don't think so. Couple things, as far as budget, everything was approved. I appreciate and thank all the voters. So last year we had a really record turnout, but when you send ballots to everyone, a lot of them do return it. They said this whole state was a third of what the vote count was last year, and I bet you it was probably worse than that. We were up around 500, which local districts, other districts like larger districts, Sydney, stuff like that, were in like the 120 range as far as voters, 140.
Wow.
I told Kelly we had Vegas numbers compared to other districts.
Jeez.
I mean, there were districts that just broke 100. So to have close to 500, and we didn't have a capital project on the books or anything like that was really, really impressive. And we sat for, I think Kelly, you were there the entire time. I got up and came back and forth a few times. Very positive conversations with taxpayers. It was a really nice, gathering. It was great. So I appreciate that. I thank you for it. And now we start like the next job. So it's interesting when a lot of people will say, well, it probably calms down right about now. And I said, no, it's basically now a race to the end. So once the budget's approved, we set up the budget in the new year, and then we try to close out this year. So that's what we're doing at this point. We have, I think, 2 regular payrolls left, and then 1 multi-payroll. So we're basically at the end of the line, and to be this far after this year is pretty wild. So with that, where's Dave? Yes, yeah, he's not walking around, it's not really quiet here. I look at a capital project like doing a project on a Saturday at your own home, but everything goes wrong and it's just nonstop. But he's done a great job. The guys on the roof have been great. We've had a few little issues here and there pop up with the capital project, but nothing that we can't solve. So, capital project, we have that. We're working on capital outlay ideas. We talked about that today. The biggest thing right now, besides just getting the next budget year started, is really to try to figure out and try to get any information regarding this stimulus funding. Kind of an interesting story. Kelly and I were both away from the district on Friday. She was in a meeting with her superintendent peers. I was with business officials. We came back, we met this morning and talked about one thing, and we both had different thoughts on it. My group said no, her group said yeah, let's go for it. So it's kind of, there's a conflict right now about what information is being shared and what we think they can use the funding for. It's a lot of money, but there are a lot of strict things right now as far as how they're limiting it. They're not limiting it, it's just we're not getting a lot of good information. We're getting bits and pieces each day. But I have a meeting tomorrow and a meeting on Wednesday and start to hash this out even more. But we're going to start sitting down, I think, with administration to start talking about what we can and can't do with it.
And finance committee.
Finance committee, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll start putting that all together. We have to put out a public survey also, or some type of information to the public to get their input. This all has to be done before June 15th. which is pretty wild, yeah, I mean, it's pretty quick. You know, I think the biggest thing is that there is a lot of money, and districts are very fortunate, but we just need some guidance. It's basically sitting down by June 15th to put together a budget for the next 3 years on what to use for this money, without any indication of what the state's gonna do in those 3 years. So I think there'll be a lot of budget amendments as we go forward, but that's gonna be part of the plan. Other than that, yeah. That's about it, actually. Any questions?
Mr. Schultz. Thank you. Congratulations on your motion.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations to Mrs. Newman. Food service, Mrs. Newman.
Good evening. We have been super busy when we have all of our students come back. And I just can't say enough about my staff every time I stand up here. We worked through our reopening plan and we have split our second grade. They go to the fourth grade classrooms, our fourth graders come down to the middle school. Our third graders are being split, some of them go to the fifth grade, and our fifth grade students come down here. They love coming down to the middle school cafeteria. We are just super busy. I go over and help my staff get those meals up to the elementary, get the kids fed in the middle school, and then I bounce back to the high school, help get the 9th, 11th, and 12th graders go back to the middle school. So we are just moving and going all the time. And I just love having all the kids back. I said that last month. Wait till they come back. We are still sending some remote meals out, and we have our backpack students, and I just pack meals into those backpacks. I just want to get those meals out to those kids. Some of our April numbers, we had 3,463 breakfasts and 4,638 lunches in 16 serving days. Luke helped me this afternoon. We're working on our renewal for our summer feeding program, and hopefully with this distribution on Wednesdays, so that'll start June 30th and run all the way till September. We have to work around some of our capital project days, some of the holidays, and just again, get all those meals out. And just a comment to Dave, thank you for he always says he doesn't do a lot. I've had some equipment issues, and I pick up the phone and I say, Dave, I need some help, and he's right there. Every time I call him, so I appreciate that. And I spoke to State Ed, and we've got some reports from USDA that we are receiving free breakfast and lunch this year, and President Biden has extended that through the 2021-2022 school year. So again, we get to reach all of those kids, and everybody, K-12, regardless of their income eligibility, will be getting free breakfast. It's an extension of the summer program. Right now, we are operating as a summer feeding program, so we get a higher reimbursement rate for our breakfast and lunch. So we're carrying that rate straight through, starting June 30th. It's considered summer feeding all the way to September. And then when we pick up in September, it'll again be considered a summer feeding program, higher reimbursement rate, trying to reach.
So every kid is still eligible for the summer?
Yes, they are, but we don't receive transportation aid, so the parents will have to sign up. Luke will help me again, create an online sign up, and then they come and pick up on Wednesdays. And I will, again, pack the boxes full, meals from Monday through, Friday, and, pick up once a week. They get 5 sets of meals and pick up once.
Right.
Just to,
Am I allowed to pick up for somebody else?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you're signed up and I know I can claim all of those meals, and just keep getting them out there, so. That's really all I have,
That's all
even though
that
there's
is.
a lot. So, just happy to be feeding those kids, so.
Any questions?
No, just thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to your staff.
Yes, they're amazing. So, thank you.
Thank you. right. Mrs. Shear, special education and student services. Come on back.
All right. So it has absolutely been a busy month filled with a lot of meetings. We continue to hold our CPSE and our CSE meetings. We should be done by June 11th, which is exciting.
That's fine.
So that's obviously what's taking up the majority of my time right now, making sure that we're, following all of our guidelines and getting all of our letters out and notifying our parents, and that's just been a lot of work this last couple of months. But we continue to be, and I'm really excited to work with our teams on RTI and the development of our comprehensive guidance plan and continue to grow those services. So we're spending a lot of time doing just that. So until meetings are done, that's my report.
That's your life right now.
That's my life. Any questions for me at all? I think you're gonna approve some stuff tonight for me, right?
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Carter-Ziba.
So I guess, where do you begin? You hear a lot of people talk about events and things, and I get to be behind the scenes at so many of these different events, from the time capsule, from the camera there, live stream, from the scholar recognition, seeing all those events and getting there and just getting out, just kind of where I am. I'm always blended in the background somewhere, helping someone with assist here, or whatever we need to do. And my staff does that day to day. I mean, right now, Andrew and I are running our department with just the two of us, while Tina takes much needed vacation. And then maybe we'll get our vacation coming up. But in the mix of this, you're running into issues with deliveries, logistical issues, damaged things that come in. I had to send back 200 Chromebooks because the shipper shipped me 300 the wrong out. So, all these things that just happen in the background is just what we're trying to do and set us up for next year. And viewing the presentations tonight is kind of making me think about where we want to take this in terms of technology, what we want to do to support those goals in terms of academic, social, emotional, those job skills and that side. And I'll be bringing that to our technology committee tomorrow and having those similar data-driven, I'm using your data to drive what we're doing internally to say, okay, are we delivering the right experience? Are the students getting those skills? And how will we deliver those skills? And are the devices we're landing in the students' hands going to provide that? And then ultimately wrapping that all together to say, logistically, how do we get those delivered? When can they come? What has to happen in the meantime? Do I need staffing? And kind of getting all those answers into the mix that just naturally flow, and then you will run a program. But that's just normally what we do. And if you do a job well, you just blend in, and people don't realize what it takes to actually get those things done until it's actually articulated. So certainly been under the gun and been just going and driving and trying to keep us moving forward as best we can. We'll continue to do so.
Any questions, please?
I just want to say, wow, thank you for what you
Yes.
said. I think that's fabulous. And you're a busy guy, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's just day to day. That's what we strive to do, to blend in, but just meet people's needs as they come up, because everyone else is playing such a pivotal role, and if they don't have that support, they don't have that piece where they can turn to the next thing, the dominoes start to fall, and the organization is like, okay, what do we do? It becomes crisis.
I mean, technology plays a role in pretty much everything we do.
It's
or have
ubiquitous,
changed.
it's every aspect, every piece of the puzzle, and it's just kind of where we live at this point. We're trying to say, okay, what's gonna get us to that next point? What's going to, I haven't even spoken about security. buying products to protect the district, to do that, I could go on for days, but I don't wanna do that right now. Maybe someday the board will ask me to talk about that in executive session or, something of that nature, but those higher level, things, and how do we protect from ransomware, how do we get ready for attacks and things of that nature, but it's just pieces. So, use me, I'm an asset to the district, so feel free to,
Thank you, Luke, and thank you for getting us through a very difficult year.
yeah, it's been,
Thank you so much.
it's been tough. So, thank you.
Mr. Bridgeport, so.
Yeah, just a few things for the superintendent report. Again, I reiterate Mr. Schultz's gratitude to all of our voters for coming out. And when we did compare to the turnout in other districts, the second highest one, we probably doubled theirs. So truly the community lent their support. Thank you to our students who came out to vote. For the first time in an election, and students who brought their parents because they were motivated to see a student be on the Board of Education, which passed. It was a really great, not only turnout, but a demonstration of civics and how this community comes together to support that. So thank you, and of course, congratulations to Mrs. Newman and Ms. Rayla, our newly elected board members that will be installed in July at our reorg meeting. We also reviewed the results of the exit survey, and so all of our board members will see this in their packet. I wrote a brief summary of what the exit survey told us, and then I provided a printout of all of the responses to that exit survey. And just to summarize for our community members, the majority of voters fell within the age brackets of 35 to 49 and 50 to 64, just to give you an idea of some demographics. A little over half of our voters currently have students enrolled at Delaware Academy. A little over half are current alumni, which was encouraging to see the alumni who not only stayed in our region and in our district, but who continue to support our district to come out and vote. When we asked the question about what are you seeking in board members, voters endorsed the ability to work collaboratively with other board members toward common goals as the top factor. I was thrilled to see that because that is what our board does. We work as a unit, we work collaboratively. When we asked what drives your decisions to vote, what do you prioritize in a budget? Voters endorsed quality of academic offerings, reasonable class sizes, and long-term fiscal stability as the top three pieces that they look for in terms of factors that are important to them. Voters identified the budget newsletter as the best source of information on the budget, and the majority of the voters, close to 80%, felt that the community effectively communicated information about the budget in a timely fashion. So thank you to everybody who participated in that survey. About half of the people who came to vote took the time to stop by that kiosk and complete that survey. So again, a great turnout on that piece.
Have we done that before as our district?
Yes.
Yes, yep, we do that annually. Yes, the questions, I did change the questions a little bit this year to reflect some things that were important as we were talking as a team. But yeah, we do take the time to answer the survey to inform our practices as we move forward.
Thank you.
The other piece that I want to bring to the board's attention in your packet also is the 2021 one-day summer law conference that is sponsored by the New York School Boards Association. This is a great event. You see bulleted here what the topics will be at that one-day seminar. This is located in Albany, will be our closest location. So it's a drive up and a drive back in one day for a day chock full of important legal updates regarding current issues and responsibilities of the board. So that is something, I will have Sue reach out to the board to see, I don't know if past practice has been if you typically send one person or if it's the board president. or who you might be seeking to send to that event. And she would be happy to get us registered.
Looks like there's a virtual opportunity.
There are 2 half-day virtual programs as well that you have to attend both half days as a virtual option. Yep, so those details are all included there. Just a heads up that because of the capital project this summer is going to be exploding in both buildings, we will be limiting our facilities use in the summer inside of our buildings. We've been approached by several community groups saying, are you lifting your COVID restrictions yet? Can we use your facilities? Well, yes and no. We'll have most of our bathrooms in this building in particular offline. We'll be expanding capital projects and finishing things up in the elementary. So facilities use will be restricted indoors for the summer. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And that's it.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Zimmerman? The policy review, we have to read the second reading of the revised policies 57 and 58. No action required. We'll discuss those again next meeting. Correct?
You skipped over the committee report.
Board of committee reports.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped that. I apologize. AL Kellogg Committee, do you have anything to report?
We did not have the meeting, Mrs. Tuttle was not available, and so I asked her.
Athletic Committee?
I'm trying to think if there's anything new to report on, Lucy. Jeff, did we have anything we touched on?
We were just really discussing in this.
In the year.
events and stuff.
It sounds like you covered it.
He did.
Board Liaison?
Mrs. Zimmerman and I both, and Sean attended. And our next one is gonna be June 16th at 3 o'clock. Brian Martin and everybody was happy with the professional development that was being offered. And I think they just felt like by and large, it was a very positive feeling.
It was a relatively short meeting.
Yes.
There really were not any new concerns. They also referenced the open Google Doc where teachers can still go in just to say, these are some things I'd like to throw on the agenda for consideration, and there was nothing. And I think they even suggested the June meeting was only as if needed.
Right.
If new things popped up, so it's been effective.
June is busy.
Oh, yes.
So, you understand if they don't.
Sure.
Capital Project. You share?
I mean, you heard from the project manager, I just wanted to share that the abatement project is getting restarted again and moving forward. They eliminated the third phase of it that's no longer needed. There's not things in that area. It's back, so that's good. Phase 2, working on pricing and better understanding what that's going to involve. Elementary school, as far as the project, Corey gave a pretty good synopsis. Roof obviously is ongoing. And the time frame for CWC, they talked about, was nothing new there, just one, and we also had a brief discussion about the planning for the next project.
Well, the abatement is definitely something, when we come back to pricing, we'll have to, as a board, discuss, as everyone discuss, because the scope of work seems to be not thoroughly defined. So they're saying that's more work than they thought. That's why they're putting that more pricing. And we talked about some parking lot remodeling, which is the one that was part of the original plan, weeks ago. So just looking at that, what's gonna happen with the parking lot, redoing sidewalks and such.
And that's up at the elementary, you're referring,
Right,
you're
yeah,
referring to that
the
island that was down the middle that we did some redesign for a number of reasons that we've talked about before.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Finance committee.
I think a lot of what we talked about was covered in various reports tonight, but it had to do with the Rescue Act funding. We talked about the district's plan for that, as well as we were keeping, I think we're collaborating with the capital project committee through Carrie relative to our contingency funds and opportunities we have for those as the project comes to a close. And just general updates on our bidding for CWC, which, what's the date?
Pre-bid is Wednesday this week. And then the bid deadline is the 5th, Carrie, do you remember? 8th, thank you.
What else?
General updates, status of public funds.
Yeah, Kellogg returns on Kellogg Fund continue to be strong, like most other investments.
18.5 million at the end of April.
Sounds like we
April was a good month.
strong.
You had numbers on what the scholarships we for this year?
No, we won't know until it closes in June, because it's interest, we take the interest from that sub-account, so we won't know until we get to that point.
That's done.
Usually our average is around anywhere from 90 to probably 105 is average. So. But actually, that'll be part of the reorg meeting, yes. The checks will be cut mid-August.
Okay, well, we covered, we actually got through our policy manual, of course, to this point, which we missed last month's meeting, so we had a variety of things that were, that we covered in this meeting, one of which,
Well, sure, so, we discussed the policy referring to, non-resident, tuition policy. And, it hasn't been addressed before because it hasn't been needed to be addressed, but the UPK is gonna cause a conflict with that policy due to the restrictions that are set forth by the fact that the funding is for, district kids, not district kids. So we're gonna have to, as a board, decide, we wanna address that policy, we wanna leave that be, it needs to be looked at further.
There are a couple other policies that we don't have that our committee is working on. And one is authority to sign contracts for our superintendent up to a certain amount without board approval. So it's basically the board authorizes the superintendent to sign contracts necessary for day-to-day operation. Contracts less than, and we kind of talked around different amounts and we came up with $20,000. And any contract over $20,000 must be approved by the Board of Education. But one of the examples was Pixlot, in that we all were on board with the discussion prior to that and were in support of it. So that those conversations will still happen and we'll be informed, afterwards. But just to make things, run smoother and on the day-to-day things that happen, to not always get our approval for smaller amounts of money for contracts. So that is one that we're starting to draft. And then another one is service dog policy. The only policy that we have currently for like animals or whatever on school grounds, I believe, has to do with the school mascot, specifically being the dog being the school mascot. So we're coming up with one that has to do with specifically to service dogs because, you know, that's, you can't really deny service dogs. So we're coming up with a policy for that. There's a, you know, that one, there's a couple, when we met and discussed it, there's a couple of things that I believe Kelly was gonna run past an attorney as far as, I think service dogs are supposed to have insurance. I don't know, she was contacting, decided do they have to have proof of insurance, and, you know, vaccination. I'm not saying they actually have to, if they bring a service dog, like, say somebody comes to a sporting event as a service dog, you know, do they have to actually show us their vaccination record? I don't think so, but, you know, if you ask them, is your dog vaccinated, and they obviously say no, then that's a liable risk, I would think, that knock somebody down or bit somebody or something, I don't know. So there were just a couple of questions, so we're just in the beginning stages of that one also, but these two we'll be bringing to you for first reading at some point in the future.
Kim, question for you on that. So on the contract, is that a total contract value of 20,000? Is that specified in there, or is it annual contract?
It just says, approval for contracts less than, okay, hold on a second. For day-to-day operation of school district without Board of Education approval for contracts less than 20,000. Any contract over 20,000 must be approved by the Board of Education.
So I would take that as a total contract value.
Yes.
Right, because-
So you can do that multiple times. Is that what you mean, like,
Yeah, you wouldn't, I mean,
I hear what you're saying.
you know what I mean, because you
You
can
don't
sign a
understand what happened
$100,000
when you
contract, which is $50,000 or $20,000 for 5
10
years,
times.
right, and that is a big contract in reality. But I think the way it's written, maybe just throw the word total in there.
The spirit is certainly total.
Yeah, right.
Right, you're not gonna do 10, 20,000.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on those? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the last couple that we looked at, there were some changes that we had talked about previously for the investment policy. So we just made some changes and confirmed the changes. We updated our designation of depositories to include the actual depositories that we are currently using. That's good. As well as the maximum amounts that we have allowable at each of those depositories. And there was just a small update that we did in the collateralizing of deposits. The percent that, I won't go into a lot of detail, but it's just an update in the percent. It was changed from 104 to 102, just to comply with what we have in place. And as Kelly mentioned earlier, we started to take a look at the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy that we are going to be.
It's in your packet.
We included that in it for everyone. And it's interesting because a lot of the rationale and the reasoning for having this is a lot of what we have identified already as our district goals and our mission statements. A lot of the things we already have in place as we look at the social, emotional health and well-being of our students. So I think we're on a really good path to put something solid into place. And we already have a really good start on that. So our goal is to have a first reading ready for the June meeting for this policy. And obviously, you guys have a chance to, read through it and digest some of it. We'll welcome
comments and suggestions that you have for that. A few meetings ago, we did have a community member who sent a public comment ahead of time that Beth read out loud to us that was imploring the district to consider implementing a policy specific to diversity, inclusion, and equity. This transcends race, this transcends gender, there's no one isolated topic. It is inclusive of all topics that pertain to this. It's always timely. It's not just because NYSED is doing this, it's because it's the right thing to do, to make sure that our campus is one that is inviting and inclusive to all student populations, and that it goes beyond also just establishing policy. It's truly taking and reflecting on our practices and procedures throughout the district, on what's included in our curriculum, to make sure that all of those pieces are reflective of the commentary that is summarized in this document. Thanks. Any questions for Jamie?
I'm going back to him on, with the animals, is a component of that also when a teacher like Ms. James brings animals into the classroom for a period of time in that policy?
It's not, it is not service, right now it's just service dogs.
Okay, and we don't need that to be included? I don't know,
It depends on, if I know that there's a history where we've had animals kept here kind of long-term, and we currently don't do that. There are also times when we may have, a small animal brought in for a day for instructional purposes or something like that. We certainly wouldn't need a policy to address that, that's at the discretion of the building principal. But I have seen policies where it's gotten that explicit and said that it's at the discretion of the building principal when it is for instructional purposes. So it could be something that we consider specific to instruction, including language on that as well.
Doesn't the policy still exist? Did we terminate that policy?
Well, it's only specific to the mascot.
No, as far as, I thought we set a policy when we did have that classroom with animals in it. Did we set a policy?
I don't remember.
Basically, it said currently we have animals on school property, but it's more toward a mascot, it's more, it really directly talks mostly about the mascot.
Because I remember when the mascot was established, and it was
Yeah.
when I was an employee.
But I think that the policy might be called animals on school property, but when you read it, it's really focusing on a mascot.
I'll double check, Carrie.
Yeah.
But we just went through that policy.
It had a little bit to do with the fact that we had signs on this campus that say no dogs allowed, and then we had a mascot there, so it was confusing to the community, why is that dog allowed?
You seem to remember that the district moved on something different.
That would be, yeah.
Right, because I mean, we had a lot of animals in there.
Yeah.
So-
I remember at one point we talked about that.
Well, it doesn't matter, I mean,
Yeah.
see, I thought there was still something in place for that purpose.
I don't
think
so.
Sue will know.
Yes.
He's not here.
One more, I have one more question about animals. What about students who would like to have a service dog in school with them? Do we have?
Great question. The laws around that are clear that a student needs to be able to independently manage and handle the dog in order to do that. But we cannot deny that if it meets that litmus test.
So that's what we, in that.
That language is, that language is on there.
See that happen. Any other policy questions?
Technology committee is meeting this week.
Okay, so technology will.
I'm sorry,
No.
the committee, no, the board committee.
We're trying to get together.
I think we're planning on meeting
Next week.
after the tech committee, the school-based tech committee.
Oh, that's right, I did see, okay, yeah, all right. Now we'll go to policy review, thank you, Tammy, for keeping me on track. Wonderful. So the second reading of policies 57 and 58, no action required, we'll go back to them again next month. No old business. Now, number 11, new business. Approve the contract with Northeast Timber Services, a motion please. So moved. Thank you, Tammy, in a second.
Sorry.
Thank you, Sean. Any questions or comments? I do have a question. How many acres are we talking about? You know?
Yes, 90 something.
Is it that,
I don't have it.
All the way up.
it's all the way out to, yeah. Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion is carried. And I'm glad we're finally doing this. Forestry is very important. Resolution to join the group bid for bread and bread products. Motion, please. So moved. Thank you, Lucy, in a second. Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Resolution approving the creation of a career and technical education program equipment reserve account by DC Mokosis. This will be a roll call. Mr. Schultz will be doing the roll call. Motion, please. Thank you, Kim. And a second? Second. Thank you, Tammy. Any questions or comments?
Can someone explain this? Just, I don't recall it.
Would you please explain it, Mr. Schultz, as the
Explain this.
So OCs is looking to set up these reserves. So what happens is basically a lot of districts will get to the end of the year with extra funds and then decide if they want to do like an installment purchase contract. So what they're doing is they're setting up these reserves where basically school districts can plan that out a little bit better. So it'd be kind of similar if you set up a reserve here, they're just doing it through OCs. Now, if the district decides not to use that reserve, they can pull back that cash if needed due to unforeseen circumstances, throughout the year.
So at what level would we expect that we would contribute? Are we feeling for, would we, or just, this just gives us the ability to do it?
I don't really.
That's right.
We don't have to necessarily fund it, we're just gonna establish it. If we see a need, we would then.
Correct,
No.
much like we have to approve the overall BOCES budget, when they establish a new reserve, the component districts also have to vote on their ability to establish that. This does not obligate us to contribute.
Oh, so it's the same as we established in
Yeah, that makes
our
sense.
voters.
Now,
Pretty
you
sure.
may not have to use, you got it.
Got it, okay. You got it, all right. Thank you. Elizabeth Hannicky, yes.
Yes.
Oh, Tammy Newman.
Yes.
Seth Haight.
Yes.
Lucy Kelly.
Yes.
Sean Letty.
Yes.
Julie Shepherd.
Yes.
James Tucker Jr.
Yes.
And the motion is carried. Back to public comments. Any other public comments? Board comments? Seth?
Okay, congratulations to Tammy and Lauren. And the other thing is, thanks for all of our work at the end of the year to make the end of the year go off. I mean, listening to the list of things that are happening. It's a lot of work, but also a really fun time of year, I know, for the students and families that, especially, things that we haven't done in a couple of years that we're gonna get back to be able to see and do. So thanks for all the hard work it is, and it's really, really fun time of year around here. My perspective, I know my kids love it too, so at least.
Thank you. Mr. Leggett?
I just want to say I'm ecstatic that there's going to be a PK. That's,
That's very true.
and yeah, I echo your comments, sentiment, exactly. Yes, thank you, everyone. That's about it.
Mr. Tucker?
And would like to say, well, congratulations, Tammy and Lauren. I'd also like to say it's good to see the kids doing things. My daughter was super excited to have a secret banquet. And I think that's, it's the first real fun thing we've done in a long time, so it's good to see. It's cool to, and next for her, so.
Speaking of the senior banquet, I'd like to go on record and thank Jay Wilson for donating use of that facility. The district and the senior class did not have to pay to have that event in Maple Shade Farms. They not only opened up the facility, but they offered everything that goes along with that to host a banquet there. So thank you to Jane and Wilson.
Would it be a note?
There should be, yes.
Carrie, you can make sure.
We'll need a note to Sue.
Well, she's retired, you can't
Not yet. This is Kelly.
do this job all day, Carrie.
Budget and this, and I'm done.
What seems to be happening here, and I'm very glad it is, the superintendent thanks the principals thank, the people who they are over, and there is such a feeling of working together. And I think this is why this school year was able to be done so successfully. And as a board member, I'm very thankful for the collaborative approach that has been used and how successful we have been. So thank you all.
We have a phenomenal team, collaborative.
I just want to thank the community for their support of our budget and me. This is the first time we're working as a meeting. And I'd like to welcome Lauren to the board. I hope you're ready to roll.
Yeah, ready for this.
Dive right in. And also I want to just echo the sentiments that were shared for Sue. I've been 9 years on the board and all of them have been with Sue. And she has kept me in line, quietly guided paths. The times that I have had to sit in as vice president and run a meeting, she has given me a very nicely color-coded, noted up cheat sheet version of the agenda, so that I don't come out and look silly. So there's, she will be very much missed. So, and just echo what everyone else has said, it's phenomenal to see the teamwork and the effort and the lack of negativity that is present in this school, and the results and what we've been able to do and accomplish are just amazing. So you guys are all fabulous.
Well, this is funny because everyone knows before Kelly or Tammy started talking, and I continue to be impressed by all the people that work in this district. The presentations tonight it's just so great, from UPK to, student services and everything, the direction that we're going in is so positive. It's just all about making education and the experience here for all the kids, pre-K to 12th grade is just so impressive. And everybody just works so hard. So thank you. I mean, it's just an honor to be on this board. It's really great, so I appreciate all of that. And I'm super excited that Tammy got voted as a continuing board member because she's so good at this. She's really good at her job here, and I'm glad we have you. So.
Me too. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who made the ability for all our students to come back.
Oh, yeah.
That was like waking up that morning and knowing that they were all gonna be able to come back, just really, yep, I know it's everyone in this room, it's everyone that works here, from the bus drivers, the custodians, the kitchen staff, everybody. That was just amazing that we could actually pull that off. In September, I didn't see that coming, but I saw. So thank you to everyone for that. I also want to say thank you to Mrs. Zimmerman and Mrs. Losey and everybody who participated in the time capsule opening. That was actually a really fun event. I hope all of you get a chance to see what was in it because it will surprise you, for sure. But I just want to say thank you. Mrs. Oliver, of course, Mrs. Oliver. Thank you so much for that. And it's been a great time, these 6 years I've been on the board, and the next meeting's gonna be a little tough. So I'm gonna say thank you to all of you right now, because I don't know if I'll be able to get out in June, so. Thank you for supporting me these last very tough 2 years, but the 6 years that we've been together.
You'll fully be expected to give a little speech. Just giving you a notice.
I know. Right?
That was it.
We'll just replay that.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, I mean, I've been a part of this district for most of my life, so, you know, this is gonna be a hard chapter. Upcoming Board of Education meeting dates, we will meet on June 14th. We will have an anticipated executive session at 5 p.m. and return to open session here at 6 p.m. We'll also be live streaming it. And the deadline for items to be placed on the agenda is Tuesday prior to the board meeting. If you have any questions or comments, please contact the district clerk, that is Sue Temple, not Carrie Schultz. At the district phone number 607-746-1306. And
You do not need a second.
you do not, so a motion to adjourn. Tammy and yours, Lucy and Tam, all right? Thank you everyone for participating and have a wonderful evening. Stay home.